Welcome to the Focal Insights Podcast Founder Hour edition, hosted by co-founder Joe Pawlak. Joe has been in the e-commerce industry for over 25 years. He grew and bootstrapped his own startup to a successful exit. Founder Hour episodes go behind the scenes to learn how some of the best e-commerce brands were founded, grown, and operated straight from the founders themselves. Founder Hour is brought to you by Focal Software, a new generation ERP and operation suite for e-commerce brands and third-party marketplace sellers. Focal was built with SMB brands and marketplace sellers in mind to help them grow profitably. Now let's welcome our host, Joe Pawlak.
Hello and welcome to the Focal E-commerce Insights Podcast, where we chat with e-commerce entrepreneurs about business, selling online, and how to overcome challenges for success. Today we have a very exciting guest, but before we get started, for listeners not familiar with the podcast or Focal Software is an e-commerce operations software and marketplace account management company. So if you need help growing your business profitably, be sure to stay tuned to future podcasts or feel free to reach out. Joining us today is Cody Mullenaux, who is the founder of Aquaphant Inc., a company that designs, manufactures, and sells the AQ2, an innovative device that transforms the surrounding air into pure, chilled, drinkable water. Cody is an entrepreneur, real estate investor, consultant, and author, has a published autobiography, has previously scaled and sold a company called Rincon Transport in 2017. He founded Aquaphant Inc. in 2020. He's selling on multiple online marketplaces as well as B2B, and currently lives and works in Houston, Texas. Cody, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Joe. Thanks for having me, buddy. Thanks for reaching out and getting this going for us. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Looking forward to hearing your story. And we always start with what people like to call the origin story, or what were your motivations to get into business for yourself or start a business. You've done it a couple times and you've got a background in real estate, which is, many people don't think of real estate as being very entrepreneurial, typically more of a service without a product. But why don't you give us the story about how all these things came together and brought you through Rincon and all the way to Aquaphant?
Yeah, I think we start back with Rincon, right? That was like kind of my initial real entrepreneurial business that I started from the ground up and built it, scaled it, and got rid of it in 2017, like you said. But quick backstory: 2009, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. I had a gangliocytoma. I used to train MMA quite a bit. I was actually a mixed martial artist. I fought and I trained for a local facility in LA, I did write a book called Numbskull. It's part of the book. It's part of the story. But because of that, I was like, I'm diagnosed as epileptic now, and I have seizures periodically. So I couldn't keep fighting, and I couldn't get signed off by doctors to keep living that lifestyle of training and fighting and being in the ring and exerting myself like I used to. So I had to figure out a new career. So I love to drive. I love cars. So I figured get my Class A, just get in a truck and just drive. I was thinking if I could make 10 grand a month, I'd be happy. So $2,500 a week, bought a truck, got it insured, started running for a local company, got my license, went through that whole deal. And I was doing okay. It seemed, I was working long hours, but I was making my goal was 10 grand a month. I actually hit that goal within the first 2 months. Fast forward a couple months later, the company sent me the BOL, the bill of lading, to the customer, which showed what they were charging for that load that I was taking to, I think it was Target or something. It was Target, a local Target. We were dumping loads off there. I think for the whole container, it was like $5 grand. And I was making $500 on that one. And I was because I always did the paperwork with the guy, offloading. And for that one,
so you had a light bulb go off in your head.
I said $5,000 on one load, and I'm making 500, and I'm trying to do 5 of these a week. If I could just do one of these a week, I could only work twice a month. That was my goal. So I literally parked the truck. I went and got incorporated. I got my own company going, and I started Rincon Transport. And I pulled one of the drivers over from the company I was working with, and we started together. And I owned 100% of the company. And I got a driver in my truck at one point, and I started doing office stuff and managing dispatch and doing all the paperwork, accounting, billing, started landing more customers, growing, scaling the business. My buddy came in, I started using his trucks. I started paying for his truck bills and his insurance and everything. And I was 1099ing him, and I had really no employees. It was just me, and I had a bunch of owner operators. And it turned in from one truck to me, and then my buddy and his trucks. And over about a 12-month period, we were doing about, I think my first real calendar year was about a $500,000 we did after I, pivoted and started doing my own thing. Then I hired this sales guy who had all the freight in the harbor. And he literally came in and blew my company up overnight. And we had unlimited amount of freight. So it was just, we needed more drivers. So over a 1.5 year period, I was able to acquire about 50 owner operators. We built and sold that company in 2017 for an undisclosed amount. It was a private exit from a bigger trucking company that was trying to fatten up their EBITDA. They were going public. So it was just good timing for us, honestly. It was before COVID and everything. And they're just buying little companies like us to fatten up their bottom line for when they went public. And we just happened to be part of that acquisition. And, there I am, just barely 30 years old, nice little check in my account, and just got married, just had a kid. And now I'm starting this water business out of nowhere. Okay?
Yeah, let me ask you a couple of questions before we move on to the water business, Aquaphant. So your primary driver there, no pun intended with the driver, but was you saw that there was much more money to be made, but did you also find that there was a gap that needed to be filled? Were there not enough trucking companies, or were you just saying, hey, I'm just going to go for it and get some more money out of what I'm doing already?
I didn't really think about it like that. I just thought about it in terms of scaling the amount of containers I could do per day. That's all I could think about, was just, if I could do 1 at this rate, I can do 2 at that rate, then I can do 10, and 10 times that is that. And then, just to build that, just keep scaling that. Logistics, trucking, where I was at in the harbor of Los Angeles, is a barricaded industry. It's extremely hard to get into. You got to get associated with the Long Beach ports, the Los Angeles ports. There's all these concession agreements. You have to sign up for all these transponder agreements with the city, and you got to be able to get access in and out of ports. And there was so many times during that process, filling out all these applications, I wanted to stop doing it, because you get to a point where okay, I'm ready to go. Then you're like, nope, there's another thing you have to do. That's going to be $5 more grand. And then okay, you pay that, you do that. And now you're in your truck, you're trying to go in the port, and you still can't go in the port. You're like, why can't I go? Because you didn't pay for another fee that was associated with Long Beach. And then you had to fill out some other form. And I was like, this isn't, no wonder why, no one tries to do this. It's literally impossible. And then it ends up costing quite a bit of money. But once I did it, and I was affiliated with both Long Beach and Los Angeles terminals, the sky was the limit, honestly, at that point. It was literally just, getting good sales guys and acquiring more truckers. And the way I got the truckers was I was able to pay them more. I knew what the truckers were being paid. So I knew I could just bring them over by just saying, hey, how much are you making on that load going to, I don't know, Minolta in Orange County? If they're paying $250 for that, well, I'll pay you $325. And then all of a sudden, I got every driver talking to every other driver. Now I got all these other drivers. I kind of starting a problem in the port, because you got some of these bigger companies going, hey, why, you're taking our guys. What are you doing? As we started to scale, I started getting some knocks on our doors as being a little private company, which I was ruffling some feathers of some of the companies. There's really a handful of companies in the port of Los Angeles that actually run the ports with all their trucks, really,
Yeah.
So
yeah, I would think so. And you touched on a few things there that are that's really a classic example of starting a business where you're motivated, you just kind of jump head in, you're going to be aggressive about it, and then you come up across challenges. And California especially is known for very high regulations,
yeah,
a lot of taxes, a lot of permits,
a lot of red,
so
a lot of red.
yeah, so you probably weren't quite aware of the magnitude, even though you knew there would be some things you need to do.
Yeah. It's a learning curve straight out the gate. You just jump into it with both feet. I had no clue what I was doing. I didn't know that when I got a chassis out of the chassis pool in the terminal, that the port was going to charge me every day per diem on those chassis. I thought we could borrow them and take them and drop the load and come back. Well, if you start collecting containers outside the port and putting them in your yard, which we had a yard, and then they sit over the weekend, now you got 20 containers. Well, you're getting charged per diem on the container and the actual chassis. I didn't know this originally. So here I am counting the containers in my yard saying, oh, that's 5Gs, that's 5Gs. And I'm adding up the math. And then a couple of weeks go by, I get a bill from the terminal and they go, oh, you owe us 20 grand because you had these chassis out for a week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you mean I have to get them back? I didn't know that. So then I learned that, you got to get them out, get them to the customer. So that's where the logistics part really comes in. Now you got to really manage these expectations for the customers. You got to be able to dispatch your driver. You got to get that container out and get it to the customer. And then you got to get that container back within a short amount of time. And that's actually how you make money. That's how you actually scale and do good in that industry. And I didn't know that originally. So I took a lot of losses initially, which were almost could have ended my trucking, business early on.
Yeah.
Those are just the learning curves of just jumping in both feet. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So you learned quite a bit in that enterprise, and then you got away from it with some money, and then you're ready to do something new. So where'd you go from there?
Yeah. So it's like 2017. I had my daughter, and I just moved my girlfriend in. We had Adriana, my daughter. She's 8 now. And then 2018, actually, we got married. And my wife, during the time, she's super health freak, working out every morning at 4:30, just always has a water bottle with her. And she would constantly in the evenings pick a water bottle out of the fridge, put it on her nightstand, take a sip, put it down, and never finish it. Okay. And, in the morning I make the bed, I get up, and there would literally be like 4 or 5 water bottles, half drank on the nightstand. And she would never re-drink them because they were already used and they were lukewarm. And she always just wanted a new cold one in the evening before bed. So I just started dumping them out, throwing them away, dumping out, throwing them away. But she also kept asking me to get them for her in the evening. So I'd literally get out of bed. Okay, babe, I'll get you a water bottle. Walk down the hallway, get her a water bottle. She'd crack it open, take a sip, put it down. And in my head, I'm thinking like, this is so annoying. Like I wanted to say something. We're newlyweds, I'm not going to say something. So I'm like, I just go online. I'm like, I'm going to buy her a water system next to her bed for the nightstand. Like, I don't ever have to do this. And then we're going to save water bottles. We're going to save water. We're going to save the convenience of me having to get out of bed. And there was literally nothing on the market. There's no system. And I'm like a problem solver. I'm solution oriented. If there's a problem, like I'm going to figure out a way to make it easier. And that's just by nature. That's just how I am. And since there was no system that I could buy her, I thought, well, I'm going to have to make her a system for the bed, right? So the first thought was ask everybody I knew if they have this similar problem that I have. So I started asking friends, hey, does your wife just drink water in bed? And does she just leave it on the nightstand? And like at 2 a.m, do you hear this like, and her like sipping, I was like, do you have this problem? And like literally like 90% of my friends were like, my wife does the same exact thing. And they're like, I actually do that too. Like I have my own water bottle by my bed. I'm like, there could be a solution to build a system for your nightstand or in the bedroom, something integrated for furniture, but that has water. So we ran a patentability test and I reached out to like a patent attorney on the East Coast. He ran a patentability test. He's like, you know what? There is no water dispensing furniture like ever. It's just like a weird thing. No one has that. I thought, well, let's just file the patent, see if we get it, So a year and a half goes by, they're like, hey, they granted your patent. Congratulations. You're a patent owner now. You own the furniture patent. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Maybe I can build a business around this, right? Very early on, we ran into some issues. Obviously, it's like, how are you going to get a reservoir in the back of the bed? You got to run plumbing in there. That's going to cost a lot of money, right? No one's going to actually do that. It has to probably be plumbed in before you build the house or it's part of the build of the home. So that became a problem, right? So I kind of like sat on the idea for a few months. Then I just kept researching, and I was kind of started to obsess about getting her water next to the bed. I thought it was a good I thought it was a good problem to solve. I came across atmospheric water generation, which is technology that's been around for 100 years plus, right? It's dehumidification. It's been around forever, right? So we were able to incorporate dehumidification, atmospheric water generation into our patents. And though we don't own the patent for dehumidification, obviously we're able to use those claims in our patents for our dispensing and software management for water, to get it to you wherever you're most likely to be. And we can go on about that in a bit later on the show. But we now have over 22 issued patents, and we also have patents that allow you to make water on the go, for like vehicular, and other B2B stuff we'll touch on in a bit. So I went ahead and started filing patents, got a couple more patents, regarding like a proprietary water bottle, a smart water bottle that connects to your nightstand, that has like just basically plugs into your nightstand. It's regulated with software. We have an app that goes with that, our native Aquaphant app that connects a smart bottle to the system. Yeah, just became a bit obsessed about it. I ended up selling a home I owned. I cashed out after I got out of the trucking industry. And I've actually leveraged pretty much all my savings. I pretty much put everything into this technology just because I believe in it so much. Honestly, like I believe in, because literally once you make water in your living room from air and it tastes better than any water you ever drank, there's no reason why in places with high humidity that every household shouldn't have one of these systems. Because you get a lot of these sales agents come in, they upsell you on the RO tankless systems under the sink. Those things run from 500 to 1200 depending on the gallons per minute. And then you got this filter update every 6 to 12 months, and that's a $300 reoccurring thing. But all those systems use the same water. They all use local municipal water that's treated with chemicals, to reduce the fluoride and to there's chlorine in this water, and there's a ton of different, there's trace amounts of arsenic found in tap water. It's like poison, right? And so
fluoride, all kinds of things,
all that crap, right? So
in this case, this one's a little bit different than the first company. So you found a need that was out there that needed a solution, but it also was kind of has a built-in demand because everybody needs water all the time. So your customers are essentially, a massive percentage of the entire population of the planet. So that's
you
good.
Think about it. Do you know how many water bottles every single day America consumes? Every day, one single person. There's 340 million Americans in America. Okay.
Yeah.
So the numbers are staggering. It's something like 340 million water bottles go into the ocean every day, get thrown out, used, consumed, and thrown out on a daily basis. So it's billions and billions of bottles per year that are used and consumed. So yeah, everybody uses and consumes water. I can stand at a podium at a conference and, raise your hand if you need or drink water. And there won't be one person that has their hand down because we all, unless you're allergic to it. I found out people are allergic to water.
Mine right here.
Yeah, there you go. So there's a need to have access to clean, good water too, and so that's part of what we're doing. I call it health water, because it's the healthiest water you can get. It's distilled water from air. And first we clean the air. It's purified air, comes from the system with a HEPA purifier, dispensing clean air into that, whatever room the system's in. And then a byproduct of that is distilled water. It's just creating perfectly balanced, clean water. Then we just mineralize it. We strip it of everything, then we mineralize it. And the end result is just like perfectly crisp, clean air and clean water from your surrounding environment. Which
it sounds like an awesome product. But a totally different business than what you're into. So I'm sure you came across other challenges. So you became an inventor essentially. So you designed this product and then launched the business about 5 years ago now. What did you come up against starting this company?
Nonstop. It's been nonstop. So trying to build a product that has hardware and software, and you're delivering a service to people. It's not like trucking. Trucking's easy. It's providing a service. You get some truckers, you go pick up loads, go to A to B, that's it. Do some paperwork on the back end, manage the logistical operations. It's relatively simple. Honestly, if I could have done it, anyone could have done it. What I found out with building an actual software company, building an actual product, is you need all these different engineers, mechanical, hardware, software guys, and none of those guys are worth anything, honestly. Everyone says they can do this, they can do that. We hired a team in 2020 who basically I paid them 20 grand for 10 months to build the prototype, only to get a box of parts that didn't work. Okay, and we didn't have a recourse. We had some arbitration clause that was protecting him, really, and we couldn't really sue him. And I gave him some equity, which was stupid. We had to like dilute him out, at one point. But that cost a lot of money. That would have like bankrupted a normal person, and they would have just moved on. So for me, I doubled down because I just doubled down at that point. I had so much invested in it. I hired my own software engineer, and then I hired my own mechanical engineer in-house. So I sourced these guys out of Newport Beach in California, and then wrote out the criteria, showed them the timeline, showed them our budget. And within 6 months, I had a dispenser with an app that was dispensing water out of a prototype that was working with a touchscreen monitor that was reading out data in real time, that my app on my phone could control. And it worked. It was working. It worked good, actually. So then I went to a manufacturer and tried to figure out how much it's going to cost to actually build this to go to market. There is no manufacturer in America that does this. Nobody builds these. All the HVAC and all the dehumidification manufacturers in America don't do anything with atmospheric water generation. I don't know why. I still don't know why. And they won't even take on a company like ours to like try to white label, create a product for us. It's not even it's just something they're not into, which it blows my mind. And so the only companies that are doing it they're overseas, international, in China, Taiwan, India, anywhere except the United States. So I ended up going online and trying to do a Kickstarter campaign. It wasn't a Kickstarter. It was like something with Start Engine or Launch Boom. One of these companies that, you can raise money without giving up equity, and in like a crowdfunding space, you know what I mean? And through that, I met the founders of some of these Launch Boom. Like, well, actually we met the founder of Launch Boom at a conference call. They're like, we really like your product. We think you're too early. I don't think this is the platform for you, but I know this kid, his parents are in this technology. You want to reach out to him. So I reached out to this kid, and he ended up, a Chinese native, Americanized Chinese kid, super wealthy family from Shenzhen, and they own a big manufacturing facility in Shenzhen. So I linked up with him. We started working together. We talked with the manufacturing facility for months. We explained to him what we were trying to do. And we ultimately ended up building what you see on our website now, the AQ2, the white version with the touchscreen system. And we launched that system in 2023, September 2023. We went to market. I sold about $100,000 to friends and family of the systems within like 60 days, just word of mouth, cold calling friends, family when I had inventory in. Sold through just a bunch of inventory. Right around that time, our actual large inventory was coming on a boat and landing. I had actually sold my house and I bought $500,000 of inventory, filters, systems. And I was just, like I said, I was all in. I believed in this technology so much that I actually sold my house to buy it. And trust me, you asked my wife if she was okay with that. But at the end of the day, we did what we did. But during that time, I actually went on Shark Tank too. We got casted on Shark Tank. We went through the whole application process. The producers loved us, and then they casted us. They gave us a call. We were at a trade show in San Diego. We had just sold $20,000 of systems on a Saturday afternoon at this EV show. It wasn't even a water technology. It was an EV convention. We set up our water technology in the corner, and we sold through like everything we brought. You know what I mean? It was great. Like everyone loved it. Everyone was going crazy for it. So we thought, when we got the call that evening when we left the show, hey, Shark Tank called us. You got to come up here, and you need to be ready to go on Monday morning. So you're going to stay at the hotel Sunday, and you're going to go on Monday. So my CEO, Steve Wolf, who is a good friend of mine, who when I started this company got the patents, I told him about it, and I was like, dude, I need someone I could trust and believe in, and I know that you're not going to do me wrong, like to just hop on board with me and ride this wave with us, like let's see where it goes. He was all in. He's been all in since day one. So we went out and got on Shark Tank. We did Shark Tank the following Monday, but we didn't really have any sales. We had nominal sales, and we were asking for like 1 point something mil for, I don't know, 20% at that time. I think our CFO gave us like a valuation of like 6 to 7 mil or something like that. So it was something that was a bit higher, for who we actually were, where we were.
Sure.
But he thought they could beat us up on the valuation. It wouldn't matter because we could have negotiated. We didn't really have a valuation because we didn't really have sales. So they all just were like, they drank the water. Mark, Lori, Barbara, Mr. Wonderful, Kevin, and who else? Damon. I met them all. We stood right there, pitched for an hour.
Yeah.
And they were all just like, nah, I don't understand the business model. I'm out. Slow. Here they go. And I'm going like, oh my God, like I thought we're getting the deal. I came in so arrogant. Like, we make water from air. Like, what do you mean? And the fact that we didn't get a deal was devastating. That was a big, they have therapists come and sit you in a room after the show to make sure you're not going to like jump off a building. Literally.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. So
did you, was it televised at some point?
So that was the tough part about it too, is that not only did we not get a deal, they didn't even air our episode.
Okay.
They
'Cause
called
I know
it,
that
like,
can boost sales too. Just
that's what we were betting. Like, hey, no deal or not. That was like, what's his name from Ring? Same deal. Went on Shark Tank. He didn't get a deal, and then he sold Amazon 5 years later or whatever for 1 point something billion. They missed a big opportunity. And I kind of feel like we are like Ring in a sense. We are like that company. We are a product, hardware, software company that provides a service, and we don't provide security. We provide clean water from a limitless source. It's atmosphere, right? So in a sense, it's very similar business model. It's just a bit more expensive because it's a bigger system. It's not these little small cameras. It's a bit more capital intensive, right?
Mhm.
But it's the same idea, and we're collecting data. We have subscription-based model. We have filter replacements. We have all these different add-ons that generate revenue. Very, very similar, almost same business model. So yeah, that was
Okay.
tough.
So you've got the product now. You've got some sales, some momentum. Now you've got to figure out how you're going to get it out there. A lot of people in early stages do what you did, go to a EV show or anywhere that you think you can get this in front of people. But also you've got to have a strategy for selling it,
Yeah.
bigger reach. Now you've got a Shopify website. Talk
Correct.
a little bit about that. How's that going for you?
Shopify is great. They run everything for us. They got all the data on the back end, all the analytics too for us, and then we just house all of our product at a local warehouse, 3PL, in Los Angeles, and then their back end connects to Shopify with all their inventory. And then when sales come in, it generates a ping in their system, and then they just ship out our inventory to the customer. It's really simple. It's super straightforward. Once it's all set up, it runs itself. All you got to do is run ads, do marketing, have a budget for Facebook and Instagram. Is the only place we ever ran any ads was Facebook and IG. But let me fast forward a bit here from 22 when we went on Shark Tank, didn't get a deal, devastation, kind of was like, kind of depressed. But then the systems we had sold to friends and family, we started having problems with. So we started initially having issues with some of the product, like a failure rate of like over 10%. So we were trying to wrap our head around some of the software issues we were having. And I ended up finding out through taking a system apart and pulling out the logic board, there's a chip that was failing. and it was just underrated for the spec for the voltage that the draw, and it was failing and it was burning it out, and so the systems had just shut down. And it was because of the 220 opposed to 110 in America, and then the different wattage they use in internationally. They had to make these systems specifically for us, but they kept the board the same. So this chip, they didn't know, it was started to fail. And it was weird. Some worked, some didn't, and we had to overcome that. Once we overcame that, and all of our systems landed, they were in our warehouse. We ended up getting a marketing team. We started creating content. And then September 23, we launched our campaign on IG. And right away, we started getting traffic. I think we did 30 grand in a week, just running ads and converting to sales. And then October came around, we did 60 grand. And then November, we did like 120. Then December slowed down a bit for the holidays. January slowed down in 2024 for the holidays. And then February, March, April, we sold through all of our inventory. We sold 500 systems in less than 6 months. So we did over 800 grand in sales in 6 months. And the return on my ad spend was like a 7 to 1. It was like for every $7 we spent on, for every $1 we spent on ads, it converted to $7 in revenue, which was for a $2,000 plus product. The marketing company was like, this is kind of like an untapped market. I think you're into like people are just buying this without knowing about it.
There's some demand, latent demand out there that
So
looking for this, but you've got the only one of its kind, right? So if anyone's looking,
there's a handful of companies that are doing this just on a bit of a bigger scale, like just a little bit bigger, less technology, less efficient. So there are some competitors, but no one has actually gone to market like we did and generated that much revenue in a short period of time to actually prove the market. There's no one out there that has done that. So a lot of them have done like crowdfunding stuff and raised some money, but none of them has actually got a product, went to market, and actually created sales like we did.
Yeah, so you're getting a lot of these sales then from ads that were going to your website and purchasing directly from you. I know you're also in marketplaces. When did that part kick in? Amazon, Walmart?
We're not in Amazon or Walmart.
Oh, you're not?
No.
Okay.
No,
okay.
we chose not to go that route yet,
Okay.
Because those are more wholesale kind of options, and we're just retail direct to consumer still because we're so small. We're not. We got to build the brand up first and get recognition. So it's been crazy. It's been crazy. We were doing $5 grand in sales a day for 6 months straight. Honestly, like it was pretty wild. So I just see my Shopify just ding ding checking out, ding ding ding. I'd be like somewhere like I was in Florida one time at one point in early 24 trying to speak with different investors and potential people with money, and here my phone's going off and I'm showing them, but people are like, yeah, I don't really know. I'm not really sure about this. I'm like, what do you mean? Like,
they're buying it.
It's really a scalable business. Our margins are really good too. The return on my investment is really insane. Like I pay myself back with selling my house and buying all the inventory. I paid myself back within that 6 months, all my money I put in. Plus I actually made like a $16,000 a month, like salary, during that time. So I paid myself, and there's still money in the bank at the end of the day, paying for all the ads, paying for all the shipping, paying for all the storage, paying for all the content. And then we still had leftover, So, it's just, we're really early into this space. So it's not getting as much traction as I thought initially it would. I think I'm just a bit early, just really a bit early.
Yeah, but it sounds like it's ramping up.
Yeah, it's ramping up right now. I know we could scale this, just turn up the ad spend. I just need money to house inventory. I need a strategic financial partner. I have literally no one. It's all me. I own like basically, 96.5% of my company. I gave a little sweat equity to my CEO. And, one thing I can touch on is like my ability to go out and, get people involved with my company early on. Like I reached out and I got a hold of the founder of Keurig, Peter Dragon. He's our CFO. He's like MIT grad. He founded Keurig. He's like the co-founder of the K-Cup. Like his name's on the patent. And then, we got a hold of him through a friend of mine, and we had a conference call with him in 2020. He's been on the team since 2020. I gave him 1% of the company just to show up on Thursdays for calls and just help us, guide us, do 5-year projections and do all the numbers for us so we could be successful. And he's been there since day one. He really believes in the technology and the product too. And then
that's super important when you talk about the team and who you've got on. You've got to be able to trust people. And I've got a few questions for you in a minute about the team as well. But so it sounds like from a tech stack point of view, since you're just growing and kind of getting up to speed, you're running Shopify, probably QuickBooks. Do you have something for your shipping and 3PL management?
That's all done through Shopify and through our warehousing. So they handle all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And are you thinking about getting into marketplaces like Amazon and Walmart or?
I mean, yeah, at some point, obviously, once we get more inventory and once we do more sales, just like trucking though, I started with like 1 container, went to 10, 20, 40, 100. Mm-hmm. So my thing is like, okay, cool. I sold 500 systems and we did that in 6 months. That means I could do at least 1,000 in a year. So my goal is to do 2,000 systems in the next 18 months. And all that is turning up the ad spend. All you gotta do is crank up the ads and then be very specific on the demographic and where we're sending those ads to and narrow it down to places like Texas, places like Florida, places like California, where we sold the most products to, and then just ramp those ads up in those spaces and that'll convert to sales.
And Meta and IG, they're notoriously expensive if you don't know what you're doing. So I'm just curious, are you managing that in-house or do you use an agency to do that for you?
No, we use an agency for that. And I told this guy, I was like, I just want you to be my marketing guy. Like we'll pay. He's so valuable. Literally, this guy, he's been in the marketing industry for so long. And he's like, I've never seen a product this price point sell like that. He's like, even a $50 item can't sell like that.
Yeah.
We have to run so many ads to convert the numbers you're converting. He's like, this is insane. He's like, let's keep this going. Just keep warehousing inventory. We can ramp this up. You can get out of this business in 5 years or less if you really wanted to. And I'm like, okay, cool. But after we sold out of all my inventory, I wanted to pay myself back the initial upfront cost because there's a large risk there. And that's what I did. So, and then I thought, great, I have a viable product. I own basically my whole entire company. The only people with a little equity are founders of big multi-billion-dollar businesses. And so I'm pretty sure I can get funding. We can, every big company that's ever scaled and been very successful starts like me, get to a point where you just can't kind of keep putting any more money in. Like you can sell the chickens, you never want to bet the farm though, right? I've already bet the farm by taking my house and leveraging that. I'm past that. But now since I proved the market, I paid myself back, I mitigated the risk a little bit. Now I need a partner to come in and help me scale it. A financial partner that sees the numbers, like this is a scalable company and we have the product and all we got to do is ramp up the ad spend. We can do 2,000, 4,000, 8,000, 16,000 systems, 30 million in sales in the next 4 to 5 years if we want.
Once you have that foundation built and you have all your infrastructure in place, then it's just pour some money on it and
pour some money. Yeah. Ramp up the ads, ramp up more content and just keep running ads. And yeah, so that's literally where I'm at today, where we're at with Aquaphant,
Yeah. Okay. And when we talk about e-commerce specifically, it's growing rapidly. I think currently one out of every 4 sales worldwide is online. So 25% of everything purchased, no matter what it is online. And that's growing. So do you have any thoughts on what your future plans are for e-commerce or any changes you see coming?
Well, no, we talked about this before. We don't want to be like a brick and mortar, I don't think. Mm-hmm. We just wanted to, because it keeps everything down, like all the expenses down. Like there's relatively no overhead with what I'm doing. It's just literally, it's spending money to create revenue. It's not like renting a warehouse. It's not like having our own business front store and then paying for, employees and doing, it's not like that. It's very, it's very simplified. So we've talked about it as a group, I don't know, as we get bigger, it might be beneficial, because part of the issue we have is educating people on the technology. It might be worthwhile to set up a store in a mall or something and have our technology running.
What about retail, like a Home Depot or Target, Walmart, physical stores?
So I think if I went that route, the goal would just to get into be to get into Costco's, probably. And I've thought about that. So that could definitely be an option. I would definitely consider that. That's definitely not off the table.
All right. Well, let's switch to some questions that I've got here now. We've component I added to this recently. I call it the speed round. So it's kind of your thoughts on some business related questions, and from the mindset of, if somebody were watching, you're kind of giving them advice type of thing. So I've got 3 questions for you, and we'll go through these. So since you've started a couple of businesses, what would your number 1 piece of advice be for someone who's thinking of starting their own business? And the advice can't be, don't do it. Meaning, a lot of people say, like, hey, this is a rough road to take. Don't even do it. But what advice would you have for someone that's thinking of doing it? Maybe they're done with the 9 to 5.
Well, I think the most important thing is, once you decide to stop what you're doing and then actually build and start a company on your own, you got to understand you're going to need people to help you do that. You're not going to be able to do it on your own. Like, you'll be able to do it on your own up to a certain point. And if you don't get the right people around you, and you don't like the people around you, if you don't trust them, forget about it. So you got to be able to cultivate people who you have a relationship with, potentially, that you trust, that have a good moral compass, that have integrity. They're going to allow you to kind of step back a bit at some point and take your hands out, take your claws out of your baby, and like allow them to help, build different parts of your company, because you can't do it all on your own, right? You can have all the ideas and all this. You got to be able to trust the people around you, and you got to be able to leverage their expertise. And until I did that with my other company, my trucking company, we were just stagnant for a while. Like, we weren't going anywhere. So it's just, I think that's probably one of the most important things, is just trusting and getting the right team around you to help you build something bigger than you initially thought.
Yeah, it's critical, especially as a company grows. So what would you say to people? Because everybody would like to surround themselves with a dream team immediately, but a startup typically doesn't have a lot of money. So what was your solution there? How do you get good people on board when you don't have?
You got to have money. You got to have money. So I was lucky. I got out of the trucking industry. I had a little capital. So people, when you have money, you roll up in a nice car, you got a nice house, you got people over, people just tend to trust you more. They're like, oh, this guy's got it going on and he's figured it out, right? And so that's part of it too. Like, you can't roll up in a little Toyota Corolla and you look disheveled and try to pitch a multi-billion-dollar deal to people. They'll just be like, good luck. Yeah, so you know what I mean? So part of it too is like, you gotta be able to look the part, honestly, which it's unfortunate, but it's actually true. People just don't take you serious if you don't look well put together. So for me, I was lucky, right? I had some money, I had some nice stuff. I was able to cultivate the team and get on the calls with the right people. But for me, I just never stopped. I've never stopped doing this. There's a weird passion I have inside me and I've invested so much of my own money. And I don't lose. Like, I just don't go into something like with the mindset of like, I'm going to quit or lose. I'm going to always figure it out and follow through. So part of it too is like, being willing to do whatever it takes to get to the finish line on whatever it is you're trying to create,
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier equity as well. And that's something. What are your thoughts on that? A lot of people are in the mindset of do not give up any unless you absolutely have to. But if you don't have cash and you're trying to build a team, sometimes that's an approach.
Yeah. You hold on to as much equity as you can until the very end, like I have. I should have given up equity a long time ago, maybe, to get partners to build but I've leveraged all my own stuff because I thought I could do it on my own. I'm going to do it on my own. I just want to have total, complete control up to a certain point, And so I've been able to do that, but then now here we are in this valley waiting for people to come in to get us more products so we can, so now I can give up a bit more equity. But what that does is it helps with your valuation later on, right? So if you give up equity early, and this is a perfect example. So I got Peter Dragon, founder of Keurig, on our board, one of our advisors, one of my, he's our CFO. We also have Travis Rosbach. He's the founder of the Hydro Flask, the double insulated bottle. He's a friend of mine. I found him through another friend, and he's came on board with us with Aquaphant. And both of those guys, Keurig's obviously a multi-billion-dollar business. Peter started that in the 90s, late 90s. Okay, when they got bought and sold and diluted out, he was only offered a job to stay on. He wasn't part of the exit. It's a very perfect example of you got to hold on to your equity, hold on to your baby. If you have a good idea, you got to figure out how to hold on. Same with Travis. He's a perfect example of giving up too much equity and getting diluted all the way out of his company before he got their $300 million buyout. And someone bought him for a small amount, okay, and that was just undisclosed small amount. Then the people that bought him sold for $300 million within 4 years or something like that, and now they sold to someone else. It's like $1 billion business. Same with Peter. They ended up selling to Pepsi. Now Pepsi made their own subsidiary company called Green Mountain whatever. That was the coffee company that Peter started with that scaled Keurig,
Yeah.
An $18 billion acquisition of Keurig. He wasn't a part of it. You know why? That he had to give up so much equity on the way up. So here I'm just trying to hold on to as much as I can until I get to a point where I have to give up. And I could give up 40% now and still be in a really nice position. And I don't want to keep all the equity. You need to give up. You need financial guys to come in. You need to get diluted down at some point. And if I keep 10% of this business in the next 10 years, I'll be extremely happy.
Yeah, it's also a good move, I think, to have some strategic equity for certain people that, like you mentioned, giving 1% to your friend from Keurig, and that's worth it. That's pretty valuable.
It's valuable. Yeah. Because he's not asked to do a lot. Just show up and help. And he's really nice guy. He's flown out to LA. He's been to different meetings with he's just really good guy. And he's very knowledgeable. He's very smart.
Okay. Next question here. So successful entrepreneurs often say you need to surround yourself with good people. We've talked a lot about that. And you need to have a little bit of luck as well. So you mentioned surrounding yourself with good people. Sometimes the luck is getting that good person, somebody that you might bring on that you don't think is going to be a superstar, and they are. So any other thoughts on building a team and how does luck play into it?
I think luck is definitely a part of it. I haven't really experienced the luck part with growing the businesses, and so it hasn't been really too lucky. It's been more like about timing, I think. It's just been about timing, honestly. Yeah, I can't really see where luck is, unless you want to equate luck to hard work and then just showing up all the time and then just meeting these kind of people organically as being lucky. But I think that just goes into hard work and then just getting on calls and then just talking to people about what you're passionate about, right? And then cultivating those relationships. And then for that person to call their friend and say, hey, and get you on a call with that guy, and that guy actually likes what you're doing, then that's not really lucky. That's just kind of you being persistent and then, being passionate about something you believe in, then people see the passion in you, and then that equates to whatever you want to call luck, maybe.
Yeah, the golfer Ben Hogan used to say, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Exactly. That's 100% true. Yeah. That's exactly right.
Okay, last question for you. If you had a magic wand to fix one thing that's holding you back or slowing you down, what would that one thing be?
So easy. Well, I feel like I have like I feel like I have all the ingredients for the gumbo, like the best ingredients for the soup. I have everything you need to make a really good recipe, and then just put it in the bowl and mix it up, but I don't have the fire. right now. I just don't have the fire, and the fire to me is the capital. It's gonna come in and ignite this, and then so we can all sit down and sup together. That might be one analogy, but the other one is literally just not being able to have good partners, like manufacturing partners here in the United States. And that's kind of holding us back. I would love to be able to go up to North Houston to a manufacturing facility and then work with you right here, walk in the facility every day, sit down with your engineers, your design team, your mechanical team, and really build a product here in our backyard. And so that's been a little bit of hindrance for us, right? We got to hire consultants to go overseas to, that speak Mandarin, that can speak the language of, in China, to talk to the manufacturers, to negotiate deals and stuff. And that's been tough. That's been tough. So so capital, manufacturing, local manufacturing would be a big plus for us right now.
Yeah, it's amazing how that, everybody says that when they get into business, that you don't realize how much money you're going to need to do what you want to do when you want to do it. And it's also amazing how fast you can burn through cash. And so that's what I tell people too. Like, you better be ready. You better start with a bunch or have a way to get a bunch of money, because you will shock yourself at how fast you can burn through money just doing things that you think are just day-to-day business stuff, really.
Well, it's kind of how I started the podcast, right? We had a manufacturer kind of screw us over, a developer, designer, whatever.
Yeah, you said 20,000.
No, 20,000 a month for 10 months.
Gone. Yeah.
Quarter mil gone in a year.
Yeah.
And you got to pivot, and then that guy gets equity no matter what, because it's part of the contract, because you think he's going to execute. So that's a tough pill to swallow. That's gone. You can't do anything.
Yeah, and you can't plan for that.
No, but you're right. So the amount of money that I went through in such a short period of time was staggering. I didn't know. I had cars paid off, houses paid off. I had money in the bank. Then we ended up selling, leveraging everything, right? To keep for software engineers, for mechanical, to build apps, to get inventory, all that stuff, right? I didn't have anyone writing checks but myself. And then you're keeping your guys happy by giving them a little money per month, or when things are going right, you're like, oh, here's a little bonus. I appreciate you showing up. I know this is hard. Like, here's 20 grand. Here's 20 grand for you. Like December, like Christmas time. So you keep these guys happy. You keep them around, and then pretty soon you're like, I got 1.8 million in this. Like, how did that happen? Like, where did it all go? And then, but the hopes is you got a product at least you can sell, and then the goal is to scale it, sell it, and at least pay yourself back. It doesn't matter how much equity I have at that point. The risk is completely mitigated, right? If I can pay myself back my initial upfront costs and I own all the patents, now we have a product that's selling, I'll take 5%. Give me 1%, come take the whole business. You got capital, you can scale this. I'll take 1%.
Yeah, and something you said earlier is very important as well, and it goes hand in hand with this. And that is that if you want to get into this, and it's going to be a cash intensive thing, be prepared to do, if you believe in it and you're in it for the long run, be prepared to do whatever it takes to keep the business going. And what you just said was a good example of where you had to basically leverage everything you had because you believe in it.
Yeah, and most people can't get there without financial help, unfortunately. And then they leverage everything and everything's gone. And then they quit. Then they'll quit. They won't talk about it anymore. They'll be devastated. And then it's like that picture I've seen online of, they showed two different mines. You got one guy on the bottom, one guy on top. And the guy on the bottom, he was like this far away from like this huge pot of gold. And the guy on top, he stopped this short. It's like one more pickaxe, just one more push, maybe one more 12-month of just push. And he's there, like everything you need is there. And it's a good analogy to remember. It's like, you're literally just one step away always. But if you quit, you never know how close you were.
Yeah. And that's why so many, that statistic about how many businesses fail in the first 5 years or the first 10 years, it's amazing how high that number is. Like, by far, most businesses will not succeed. And for various reasons, but a lot of them just because it's a tough road to go down.
Yeah, so good thing about me is like I actually, sold the house, bought inventory, sold inventory, got my money back that I invested in inventory. The only money I really have in the company now is just marketing stuff, software engineering to build products. And then that's a tangible asset that we have that brings value, and also all of our patents. We have a ton of patents. So that's just added value sitting there, which is a tangible asset that at some point, makes a lot of sense to somebody, so it's not just like wasted, honestly.
Yeah, even without cash, you've got a lot of enterprise value built in.
Yeah, I agree. Plus I got the team and we got the
Yep.
sales. I'm in a really weird spot, because literally if I had an investor come in with 1.2 million right now, we could buy 2,000 machines for 850 grand, and we could literally sell through all those systems in 16 to 18 months, putting 4 mil in the bank. I could pay back the investor. We could run the 7-to-1 return on ad spend is, nominal. It's about $500,000 to do those numbers. There'd be about 2 mil to split between me and the investor. And after I paid him back, it's 1.2. If that was like something that someone wanted to do, like that's like, we can show that data. Like we could do that now,
Yeah, and you also said timing's everything. I wonder what would have happened if you went on Shark Tank now with those numbers.
Oh, it's a no-brainer. Cuban, he's like, they say, come back when you have sales. That's what they said. Come back when you have sales. We like it. The water's good. Come back when you
But
have sales.
they want a lot of equity for a little money typically, but
Well,
it's a different.
you know what's crazy about Shark Tank is the highest valuation ever to come across that platform was Lark, a water bottle company.
Oh, no kidding.
He gave up 1%, and it was to like Barbara and Mr. Wonderful. They split 1%. They both got a 0.5%. It was a water bottle company.
Yeah.
It was like a $60 million valuation there. It was insane.
That's crazy.
But they had a ton of sales. So if we
Mhm.
had sales, like if I went across the day we finished our campaign and we sold through all the inventory, and I'm standing there's this new company with no debt, and I have the team around me, and we have the software with everything, and we just did like 1 million in sales in 6 months, the reaction is different. Like, oh, you did 1 million? Oh my God.
Oh yeah, you proved it viable at that point. No
Yeah.
question.
So that's what I hope the investors see now as we go to pitch to just like angel investors or private equity,
Yeah.
You just keep going out there and treading the waters,
Just keep working at it. All right. So as we wrap up, why don't you talk a little bit about where anyone listening or watching can find your product, your website, or reach out to you? Maybe somebody's going to want to invest and contact you.
Yeah, so go to aquaphant.com. That's AQUAPHANT.com. That's just our website for our products. If you want to reach out to me directly, my email is cody@aquaphant.com. And besides that, we don't really have much links. I'm not really on any other platforms per se. I did build a car during this time, so I have a patent for, I'll end with this because this is kind of important, because part of like my vision was to bring this technology into vehicles. So with our patents, we're able to do that. And the only way to do that is have this proprietary water bottle that plugs into your cup holder. So if you want to check that out, I built a car. We went on Top Gear. The BBC came out from Europe, and they did a whole thing on a custom car I built. It was for marketing, right? To showcase our prototype in the car. And I knew it was going to go viral, and it got like millions and millions and millions of views. It's called the Bush Hog E30. It's an old BMW, like an 88 BMW body, like a 3 Series, that we completely redid it. And then we put my water prototype in it. And you can see it actually working on the go in a car on that show. So that's on YouTube. I don't know how you find it. Just put in like the wildest, craziest E30 ever built in the world, and it will come up and you'll see it. It's this gray race car. And then towards the end of the video, they showcase our technology in the car. And so that's what I'm betting on more than anything.
Yeah. That's really cool. Very exciting. You got some future products coming out. Getting some good PR on them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think with that, we'll wrap up today's podcast. Cody, thanks for sharing your experience with our listeners, and thanks to everyone listening. And we'll see you next time.
All right, Joe. Thanks, buddy.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Focal Insights Podcast. If you like this episode, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you can be alerted of new episodes. See you next time.